I'm Steve Dodrill here in Pierce Hall on the campus of Franklin Pierce University, where we will speak with Governor Mike Huckabee from Arkansas. Governor, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Lately in the Iowa poll and the Rasmussen poll, your numbers have basically surged.
This is great news for us because it's an indication that despite not having anywhere near the financial resources as some of the other candidates, our message is selling. I think it's a great encouragement not just to our campaign but to the system that the traditional way of a nomination process that includes Iowa and New Hampshire is critical because it helps the country realize that the candidates that have maybe been selected by the national media on the basis of money alone don't necessarily reflect the views and the values of ordinary voters. That's why the Iowa caucuses and the New Hampshire primary become so very important to give real voters, real people a chance to put candidates to the test and frankly make or break some candidates. Clearly in Iowa it's working dramatically well, from the straw poll results we had in August to the very I think stunning and surprising results that we're getting even yesterday. If a person is going to be president, he ought to have to come to places like New Hampshire and sit down with voters in the Merrimack restaurant in Manchester. He ought to go to a factory floor in Concord and talk to workers who are worried about getting laid off. He ought to have to go and face people out at a park and talk to disabled veterans and hear what their concerns are about veterans' benefits and how they're being cut. And if we're not careful, what we're going to end up with is people will run for office who become credible only because they have a lot of money. They'll go to a few nice cocktail parties and hang out with the swells. They'll be able to make some nice, very colorful and very effective television ads because they'll have the money to do it. And we won't have a presidency, we'll have a plutocracy. And our nation will be worse off for it. I dread the day that happens.
What really sets you apart from the other candidates?
First of all, I've got more executive experience than anyone running for president from the Democrat or the Republican Party. I think when people are looking for a president, they're looking for somebody who actually has experience in governing, in running things, not just making speeches and talking about it and serving on a committee and being one of a group of people that took a look at something. What they really want is a hands-on person who has managed, led, and run a government. For 10.5 years, I was a governor of a state. A governor is in essence running a microcosm of the federal government, because if you think about at every level of the federal government where there is an agency, it has a corollary at the state level, whether it's the Department of Labor, Department of Health and Human Services, Department of Education. So what you really have run is in essence a government entity that touches the very things that a federal government does. I think that is a great experience. Plus, I think from a personal side, people of this country would like to have a president who has had a life that wasn't necessarily one of privilege, it was one of struggle. Because most Americans can relate more to my life and its background than they can to somebody who grew up with everything pretty well set in stone and not having to worry about what they eat next week.
Back a month ago, you extended an offer to Fred Thompson for a Lincoln-Douglas-style debate. We extended an invitation to you as well. What is your response to Mr. Thompson not accepting your invitation?
Well, I'm disappointed. He said that the reason that he didn't go to the New Hampshire debate originally was because he didn't like the format. He thought he would prefer a Lincoln-Douglas-style debate. Frankly, so would I. And so as soon as I heard that, I offered to be a part of that and ask him, let's do it. CNN and Wolf Blitzer said that they would host it and televise it. Franklin Pierce University agreed to serve as the venue for it, and I accepted that invitation at Franklin Pierce University, and I wish that Mr. Thompson would.
And from what I hear, you're a musician. Could you comment a little bit about your musician skills?
Sure. I don't know about the skills, but my affinity for it I can sure comment on. I've been playing since I was 11. Still play actively, have a band called Capital Offense. We've played all over the country, and we've opened for Willie Nelson and the Charlie Daniels Band, Grand Funk Railroad, Percy Sledge and Dionne Warwick, and a lot of bands, but we've also played venues that range from House of Blues in New Orleans to Red Rocks Arena or Amphitheater in Denver. We've played in Los Angeles, New York, Orlando, Memphis, and obviously we've played in New Hampshire and Iowa, and probably coming to a theater near you soon.